Hello and welcome back to this channel. So today we shall be learning about what are early childhood traumas. Early childhood trauma is the adverse childhood experiences that a child between the age of 0 to 6 years goes through that are so overwhelming to cope with unless there is the supportive adult in their life. And this early childhood trauma include abuse, there is emotional abuse. This is where the feelings of a child are invalidated. This is where the guardian or the caretaker of the child expect them to do what they want, irrespective of the child being willing or not. And another kind of abuse is the sexual abuse. This is where a child is sexually abused, sexually molested, maybe raped, even touched inappropriately. Another kind of abuse is the physical abuse. This is where you beat your child. This is where you cane, even for the slightest mistake, even without considering their part of explanation. So this kind of abuse, we say the body remembers the pain. The child may not have coherent memories about what could have happened, but this impacts later in adulthood, where you experience pain, where you just wake up in the morning and you feel like you have been carrying heavy loads. So this is aftermath of this childhood trauma, this kind of abuse, this kind of physical abuse. Another kind of trauma is neglect. There is emotional neglect. This is where you are emotionally unavailable for your child. That child needs someone to hear them, not to be seen as the traditions put it. That child requires you as a parent to connect with them. They require someone who can hear them. I understand you say you provide financially, you provide or you pay all the bills, but are you emotionally available for that child? Who does that child speak to? Who does that child share what they are going through with them? Maybe perhaps someone was bullied, someone was sexually abused, but do they have someone they can speak to? Do they have someone they can share what they are going through? So emotional neglect entails emotional unavailability of a parent. Another kind of neglect is the physical neglect. This is where you leave your children without food, you leave your children without clothes to keep them warm. And that you can see this can impact them health-wise, they can get sick, and which they can impact the way the brain development takes place. I usually say that experiences that a child goes through determines the brain condition that is going to be formed, which later influences brain development. So experiences that the child goes through are very vital in the brain development. Another kind of childhood trauma is the violence. There are various violence, and don't be talking about the special domestic violence. This is where the parents fight. They fight each and every day. The mother is beaten, the mother is abused, but they don't speak out. They don't speak out because that is how the society is saying, you as a woman, you have to make your marriage work. But how can you make your marriage work whereas you are in pain, and as you are hurting, you're suppressing your pain, you're suppressing your emotion? What you teach your children in that marriage, the moment you are being abused, you're not speaking out, you're pretending everything is okay. You teach that girl child in that family it is okay for women to abuse, to tolerate abuse. You teach that boy child it is okay for women, for men to beat their spouses. And those are the scenarios that we are witnessing even in adulthood. That boy child in that family that it is okay to abuse women, we abuse their spouses, those are the kind of men who goes on abusing women. In marriage, you see that girl child in that family will tolerate abuse because that is how she saw the mother doing. So it is very important to address these issues. It is important to challenge these beliefs that have been held for so long time, that are keeping people in bondage, that are making people to be depressed, that are making people to commit suicide, because when you have suppressed so much this pain for a long time, it reaches a point that you cannot suppress it anymore. Another kind of violence is the school violence. Maybe a child is bullied in school. This impacts them, especially when they have no one to support them, to be counseled, or having not gone through therapy. Another kind of violence is the community violence. Maybe these children grew up in a community that was full of violence. Maybe people were thieves. Maybe people were there was robbery. It happens in the informal settlement. You wonder why someone loves maybe into shooting, someone maybe into stealing. That is what they understand it is normal, and that is what happens maybe in most cases in the rehabilitation centers. Unless they challenge, unless they go back to the roots and they program these children, then it won't work in them just rehabilitating them and making them to stop that, because that is how the brain is wired. So if you want to change, you have to rewire, you have to reprogram your mind, because it is possible. The studies have shown it is possible for the brain to be rewired. Another kind of trauma is maybe living with a parent who is mentally ill. You understand a person who is in mental distress, sometimes is in good mood, sometimes is in bad mood, and sometimes they keep on confusing this child. They don't know what is normal, they don't know what it means to be right, and therefore it impacts them. It impacts how the brain development, because at this stage of 0 to 6 years, that is when a lot of brain development is happening. Another kind of trauma is living with a parent who is into drug and substance abuse. A parent who abuses drugs, they come home drunk and they abuse that child. They abuse that child sexually, they beat that child, and the next moment they are behaving as if nothing happened. In fact, even they are not remorseful of what happened. And so this child in that family gets to get confused. Why the one moment my mom is good, then another moment is so fine. And what happens, especially with a child that grows up with a parent who is in drug abuse, sometimes the sibling in that family who is older is made a parent at a younger age. They are denied a chance to be a parent, a chance to be a child, because they become a parent at a very young age. They care for those people and they forget to take care of themselves, and that is what you see into adulthood. There are those people who love taking care of others, whereas they are suppressing their pain, they are suppressing their emotions. No one takes care of them because they learned it is going to take care. If I take care of someone, maybe mommy will love me, and that is what they are doing. Those are the kind of people that you call codependent. Another kind of trauma is maybe someone was born at a time of war, maybe a time of natural disasters that happened. Maybe people were displaced, and you see it disrupt the normal life, and therefore maybe you might be going to a place, maybe there is no food, maybe there is no shelter, and these things impact these people psychologically. It impacts how this brain connection is being made. Another kind of trauma is maybe the loss of a parent or separation. When a child loses a parent who is very close, unless they undergo therapy, then it impacts them. Sometimes a child understanding or reasoning is not, it is not like of that of an adult. A child believes that whatever has happened, it is their fault, and you see this impact them, how they are going to respond maybe to other responses, other scenarios in life, and which impact them till adulthood. So it is very important when something like that happens, a child goes through counseling, a child goes through therapy, so that they can be helped to cope, so that it can't hinder the brain development. Because I've always saying, I've already saying that the experiences that a child goes through determines the brain connection that is going to be formed, which influences how the brain development takes place. So it is very important. Unless you address this early childhood trauma, it impacts into adulthood. These suppressed pains, these suppressed emotions, they reaches at a point you can't suppress them anymore. That is in adulthood. That is where you're seeing people committing suicide. That is where you're seeing people becoming depressed. That is where you're seeing people having mental distress issues. So it is very important to address the root causes. I understand many people are you're taking care of the symptoms, but it is very vital, it is very important to go back to the root causes, understand how did this come about, understand why Do I have anger issues? Where did it come from? And address that. Unless you heal this early childhood trauma, you keep them passing them to your children. And the experiences that a child passes through, it forms the beliefs that a child has. The belief system that you have, the beliefs that you have, you learned them. It is through the experiences. It is the way you were brought up. That view of life, it's how you were brought up. So it is going to challenge these beliefs. It is going to challenge this distorted thought that is influenced by the beliefs that you have, so that you can have a mentally sane society. I usually say, in order to have a mentally sane society, you need to make your mental health a priority. And you have to do something so that you can change, because change and self-development cannot be delegated. You have to do the work. You have to purpose to change. You have to purpose to heal. You have to purpose to break these generational patterns.